Okay, I want to thank all of you. I'm going to call a meeting to order at 12:02 p.m. I want to thank you for being on time. We have a quorum with 6 voting members. And the first thing we need to do is review the agenda. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And I think, Denise, you had a change that you wanted to make so that you could do a report earlier. Denise, are you there?
Yes, I
Okay.
just asked that we perhaps put the update for the November 1 letter.
Okay.
It's a very brief update,
Okay.
but we could have that at the beginning. That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any opposition to that? Okay. Is it all right if we do it after the approval of the minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. We'll just do it here.
Actually, Hillary, it should probably go under accreditation because it's
Oh, yes, it should. You know what? My eyes deceived me. Thank you. Okay. Any other changes anybody wants to make to the agenda for the day? It's a short day. I do have a couple more things that I will talk about in accreditation if we have time. Okay. Any objections to accepting this agenda, approving this agenda as it is now amended? Okay, I don't hear any objections, so we're going to go with this agenda as amended. The next thing is just to review the meeting minutes from our last meeting. Again, I did go through and the recording and try to get it as specifically as possible. One thing I have trouble with, and maybe somebody can help me after, is figuring out who attended the meeting afterwards. I don't know where that's listed or if that's listed in Zoom. Does anybody know?
Yeah, so when you go into the Zoom, you could do this through CCC Confer Zoom, or you could just do it through the Zoom main. I think it's not just through your app. You have to actually be logged into Zoom, like
Okay.
the actual Zoom within a browser.
Okay.
And you can look up something called reports.
Oh,
and
okay.
when you do that reports, it'll show all your meetings, and you can decide how many different, well, what time range you want to be able to view your past meetings. This is all assuming you're the host, right? You can only do this for things that you've hosted.
Okay.
And then click on the participants, and then it'll tell you, it's usually like a little live link that says how many participants, and then you can get the attendance roster that way.
Phenomenal. Thank you, Aria.
Yeah.
Okay, so since I didn't know that before, did I do anything incorrectly here? Does anybody see themselves incorrectly attending or not attending last meeting? Nathan, were you at the last meeting?
I don't recall at this point.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then I'll just kind of go down. I sent these out, but if anybody sees anything that stands out to them as incorrect or needs amending, please let me know.
Hillary, do you have to include it says you have to put the constituency group of each individual who attended?
Is that Denise?
Yes.
Where up here in the vote?
List full name and identify the constituency group.
Oh, thank you. I did not even see that.
Good catch, Denise.
So when we say to constituency group, like, are we saying administrator, faculty?
Yes. We're identifying so that we know who is present from administration, faculty,
Okay.
classified.
Okay. I will make those changes right now. For some reason, I have it up on a PDF, but thank you. I will make those changes. So that would include constituency groups. And moving forward, I will do that. I appreciate that, Denise. Good to hear your voice, Denise.
Thank you, Hillary. You too.
Anything else on this first page, and then I'll move down. Let me know if I'm going too quickly. I'm just going to keep paging down unless somebody says stop.
Hillary, I noticed that you have SH. Is that my initials?
Let's see. Yes, probably.
Okay. Then I noticed that I wasn't listed under guest.
That's what I needed.
So,
Yep. We need to add your name. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Keep me accurate and honest here.
I'm the ghost. I'm the whisperer of the
We could put that, the ghost in the room.
fly on the wall.
I'm just going to continue down. If anybody has any changes or amendments or sees anything inaccurately, please let me know. Sorry if it's too fast. I'm just trying to get through. That's for too much time. Okay. Anybody have any other edits or amendments for the minutes? Any objections to accepting the minutes from September 11th with amendments as stated already? Not hearing any objections, I'm going to say that our minutes have been accepted with the amendments we stated. Great. Okay. Thank you. All right. Denise, let's start with your report on the November 1st letter so that you can get that going and then do what you need to do. Whoops, you're muted.
Indeed I am. Okay. Thank you, Hillary. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to share that the November 1 letter is currently in progress. We initially submitted an early version to the Chancellor. She asked for a bit more detail and significantly more evidence, which we are in the process of providing. I wanted to share that originally it was going to go to the review for the board for this upcoming board meeting, but we had hired, or the district hired, a consultant to help with the district pieces, and unfortunately that consultant was not able to continue or had to take a bit of a break because he had death in his family. So we've actually been extended another week or so in terms of providing the additional information for the November 1 letter in order to make it robust. A number of you probably already know that we're addressing 8 points that were determined areas where we needed greater development. I don't know if David has actually shared this a number of times, so I don't know. Hillary, do you think there's value in kind of showing that at this time?
Well, let's ask the group. Does the group want to see a copy of what's been done? We can vote.
Or at least the 8 areas that we're working on might be helpful.
Yeah, why don't we do that? I think that's helpful, and to have it on the record as well.
Let me just share screen then for a moment. And everyone see the bulleted items here? You can never know what people are seeing. Okay.
Yes.
So you might also be seeing other stuff on my thing, but that's okay. So the 8 original points of concern: establishing FTES targets and enrollment management plans, 2, establishing a student success infrastructure to comply with the student-centered funding formula, establishing guidelines to reduce operational overspending, adopting board policy. Well, you can read all through that, but those are the ones that were originally noted as points of concern. And so in the January 27th letter that was sent, It was determined that there were some additional items that they felt had not been adequately addressed, and so we are addressing those. The continuous structural deficit, lack of adherence to board policies, administrative procedures, deficiency in reconciliation and financial control issues, key staffing issues, OPEB obligations, which of course is not something that we're really concerned with, and then ongoing addressed audit findings. So these are the areas that we're addressing presently. President Johnson has asked the administrative team as well as the ICER steering committee to provide additional information to help create more or provide more substance to our current draft. So that's kind of where we are. And we are anticipating we'll be finished with this within the next week and a half. This will go to the last board meeting in October, this report. This is a critical report, even more critical in many ways than the ICER. So it's really important that we provide the kind of information that's being asked.
Yes, there seems to be some very critical issues on here. Any questions for Denise about any of the particulars?
Just one. Dr. Chavez and I have met a few times this week, and we have some points that we added with respect to transfer and there was another one.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you well, Nathan.
Oh, I just mentioning that there's a few additional points. Dr. Chavez and I have met a few times this week, and we have a few more contributions to the draft.
That's wonderful. We're really looking forward to additional substance that we can provide in terms of the work that we've been doing. So thank you for doing that work.
I just noticing that some of these things are, even though the college is the one that gets accredited, many of these things are at the district level. And I'm wondering, Denise, just kind of like a percentage wise, how much of this is Merritt and how much of this is district?
Well, in terms of the items that you see here with my cursor, those are our college issues. And so with the exception of OPEB. So we're responding to that. In terms of percentage wise, I'd say probably 70-30 in terms of what the district was responsible for. And the consultant was brought in to help with their part of the report.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee for Denise? Go ahead, Arya.
Sorry, but do we have a business manager right now?
We do not have, well, as we know, Victoria is on leave right now, so we don't have anyone working in that role at the moment.
Okay, just following up. So looking at the items relating to financial control issues, it seems my experience from just managing one department as a department chair in biology until recently, a lot of our issues tended to be, at least at the time, told to us that issues had to do with things more at the district rather than at the college. So does that mean then that financial control issues can then be reconciled within the college without having the district involved with that? I guess that's probably beyond my understanding, but it just seems like they're hand in hand. It seems very hard to sort of disaggregate this and say this is college and this is district when there's so much overlap.
There's some ways that the college needs to, as many of us know, needs to improve in terms of our business operations. And so we are addressing those issues in this report, but it is collaboratively written in terms of is what you talk about as the interconnection between what's going on in the district and the college. So the district will address those issues that are under its purview and control, and we are going to address those that are under ours.
And some of that will be discussed today, right, at the fall summit, the IPB cycle, and is some of that talking about the transparency in finances and the collaboration between the district and the college?
Yes, I believe, well, I'm sure that will be part of that discussion.
Okay.
Stephanie, you're leading that discussion, correct? The IPB? Yes. So
I'm actually multitasking. I'm working on the PowerPoint right now.
all
Great.
right.
So
Look forward to
hopefully
this.
we can get some of those questions answered later as well.
But can we recap on what exactly that question was, just in case I do need to touch upon that?
Just the district and the college, you know, how the
Integrate.
transparency in terms of how they're integrated in terms of our processes.
So I did not elaborate that because I was more focused on our college piece, but I can sort of just speak to it, but I probably won't include it in the slides because the district has so much sort of turnover and change with respects to its governance structure. And so I don't want to put something that I don't know factually is actually occurring. But I can speak to the relevance of, you know, sort of how it feeds into and what bodies I believe are reviewing these pieces.
So more to come on.
More to come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Denise. Could you stop share? Okay. Thank you. All right. It is time in our agenda for the assessment update. Heather, could you update us on anything new from assessment?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, we had our meeting yesterday. Our big focus was reviewing our bylaws and updating them. As Stephanie can attest, we are attempting to expand our membership to get more voices at the table, including counseling, students, staff, and administration. We almost finished updating them, but we were going to kind of fine tune it, and we're going to finalize it at our next meeting and then send it to, I believe we need to send it to the Academic Senate to get final approval on those updates. So we'll be sure to share them once they're complete.
Great.
May I make a quick comment with respects to the bylaws? There's still a question in play with respects to that body reporting directly to the Academic Senate as opposed to, say, the council. And if there's discussion about expanding its membership to be a body similar to this Accreditation Committee, I do believe that there should be reports to the council versus just the Academic Senate because of the broad-based need to understand assessment and how it affects everyone. So I do wish for that conversation to continue with respects to sort of how we are structured in the scheme of governance.
Yes, and I think that we can continue to discuss that. My understanding after our meeting was that we will be providing written updates to the council, but we are still a subcommittee of the Senate.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions for Heather? Okay. The next item I would like for us to do, I really want to hear all of your voices here, is to talk about, because I want to get something on the accreditation page out to the college, you know, talking about accreditation every day and what it means in your area. And because we have such great representation in this group, I'd really like for each of you to just take 2 minutes, and I'll set my timer, and maybe just write down or think of one thing in your area. So if you're faculty, right, one thing that you can do that is practicing accreditation every day. If you're classified staff, one thing in your specific area that happens that is practicing accreditation every day. If you're an administrator, same thing. And then we can come back together, and I'd like to hear from everybody. And I have other ideas for this as well, but if we could do that, are there any objections to that? Okay, so everybody just take 2 minutes. I'm going to set my timer, and I'll ask you after 1 minute if you're done, but I would like for you to either write down or think of one specific thing that you do every day, right, that is part of accreditation in your area. It can be more than one thing. So that's about a minute. Does anybody need more time? I'm happy to give you guys more time. I don't want to waste meeting time if everybody's done.
I'm done.
I suspected you would be, Heather. Is there anyone that needs more time, additional time? Okay, why don't we start with you, Heather?
All right, cool. So I said that I participate in accreditation every day by creating, developing, implementing, and assessing high-quality programs that meet the needs of students and the community.
Phenomenal. Denise Woodward, can I call on you?
Sure. Okay. I participate in accreditation every day by providing excellent service to students and faculty, being a technical resource to students, faculty, and the general public, and always collaborating with faculty and administration.
Wonderful. Nathan.
I participate in accreditation daily, and by extracting data from a wide variety of data sources and interpreting the data for others in the organization, data on inputs and outcomes at the student and program and college level.
Thank you. Michael, from a student's perspective.
Hey there.
Hey.
I'm not 100% sure of all the different ways in which this question might apply to student government.
Lots.
But the main ways that are at the tip of my mind and relevant to the state that we're functioning in currently, attending as many participatory governance meetings as possible, as well as encouraging our peers to get more engaged in that regard. And then in terms of, we're not so much informing the administration of anything they don't know in terms of, problems and the, more nuanced or greater details revolving around them or how they might measure in a certain situation. But we certainly do help turn the volume up on some of those messages when they're having trouble being heard.
Thank you. And I would actually say you are informing. So thank you for that. Dr. Richardson?
I participate in accreditation every day based on my role as ALO, of course. But one of the other things that I try to do is not just think of accreditation for accreditation's sake, but think of ways of making linkages in terms of what we're doing as a campus community in terms of our integrated planning and budgeting, just trying to make it a smooth fit between meeting the standards and what we're actually doing for the sake of our students, for the sake of student success. So.
Great. Margie, you're up.
Okay. I participate in accreditation by first remembering why I chose Merritt and serving students with that and collaborating with the campus community with that as the standard as related to, as in alignment with the college mission and core values that are assessed by way of surveys.
Wonderful. Arya.
I think a lot of the previous answers say a lot in a better way than what I wrote in my little 2-minute written statement. I think Heather covered it pretty well. I would, I guess, add that in my everyday actions, I try to link students with other services wherever I can. If I see that there's some areas where they can slip through the cracks. Like the other day, I directed someone to Stephanie DeVito because they shared with me that they were having a tough time emotionally. Just, I guess, you know, as a faculty member, I think developing curriculum then and developing student skills is probably my primary role. But I think lately, especially under these circumstances, I feel like I have to treat everyone as a whole person. And so, you know, just everybody's going through a tough time, but I don't want anyone to give up. So I do everything I can to try to further them along in their goals by supporting them wherever I can.
Thank you, Arya. Maria, do you want to speak? You're here.
Sure, I have two areas, which is outreach and recruitment and orientation, which are two big pieces that kind of go unnoticed, but it's very vital to our success and student success. And so I created a virtual Zoom information sessions now that are taking place, that are kickstarting, and it's building, you know, it's building up. And so vital information is going out, and we're inviting, I want to say, programs and services to join me on the Zooms to do their own presentations. So we're linking them right to the CE programs in this manner. So we have 5 already scheduled. So it's amazing that it's taken off this quickly. And then for orientation, I created a Zoom platform too, which now allows me to kind of select students who want a face-to-face orientation. And we are actually utilizing PowerPoint presentations that covers the vision, the mission, students' services, the breakdown of the resources, the learning communities, the welcome center. And so I create a survey, and I'm getting feedback now from all these students that are telling me the importance of these one-on-one sessions and the linkages and referrals out to the programs that they need assistance with. So that way then there's a really good follow-up. So I'm not sure how to capture that, except for now I have a survey in place, so you can pull that data and make a comparison between a regular online orientation versus a visual person-to-person connection.
Great. Thank you, Maria. Dan.
Yeah, I would basically echo what Hillary and Arya said about teaching. One thing I think is helpful, I don't know if it's helpful, but one plus for teaching online is that all of those things that we're doing with our students, like all of the assessments and communications and discussions, are all have documentation, because they're all being done electronically, and we have, you know, we're saved them and stuff like that. So we actually can use those for evidence if we wanted to.
Cool. And then I'll say, did I miss anybody before I speak? Okay. As a program lead for communication, we have been doing a lot more discussing within our faculty meetings about the PLOs, our program level outcomes, and asking people to bring what they do in their specific courses, and also brainstorming what we can do more to really make those program outcomes come alive in our program. So thank you everybody for engaging in this. My idea is to actually use what you've just told me, provide you with a transcript and ask you to do it again for me, so I can create like a PowerPoint or something, maybe something different, but a presentation on the accreditation page where each of you says what you do, and so people can look at it if they're looking for how we practice accreditation every day. And so I'm hoping that you'd be willing to participate in that. Okay. The next item that we are to cover, also under accreditation, is communication on campus. We're going to have, and I'll get to this in announcements, a listening and solution focused session, 2 separate sessions about this. But one of the items that came up, one of the issues that came up on the accreditation day, was that there was a big disconnect between classified staff and faculty and students and administrators. And there are many reasons for that. People specifically named that we don't have the FAS emails anymore, so we cannot communicate on a college-wide basis. But I'm asking for brainstorming at this point on, again, solution-focused ways that we can reach each other. And we can be as creative about this as we want. We just have a limited amount of time today to do it, probably about 10 minutes, but we can get the conversation started. So for example, one idea I had thought about was literally creating a newsletter so that each different area could highlight the things that they are doing at the college. And so people know what's going on, and students could highlight what's going on for them so that the word spreads. But I'd love to hear other ideas. And I'd love to hear other ideas. And I'd like to hear your opinion on the FAS email disappearing, being taken away. Anyone?
I have opinions.
Okay, let's start with Maria and then Heather.
Okay,
Great.
So I really miss it only because the nature of the work that I do. I come across so many organizations and institutions outside of Merritt that share with me vital information for faculty, administrators, and staff at any moment. And these are like on real time. So if I don't get it to you, you're going to miss out on an internship or an externship or a possibility of a networking or even opportunity for a grant because I was a grant maker in the past. So all my leads from like just LinkedIn is in the thousands. So my connections spread way out, and my core group at Merritt is missing out. And I hate to keep going through different stages just to get a announcement posted. By that time, it's already gone. So that's my little bit of it. Although I didn't want to hear other people's long battle with drama, which doesn't pertain to me. They could leave that and make a prioritization of what should be shared in, in a respectful way. So I think that's where the challenge was. That's just my input.
So I think what I hear you saying is bring FAS back, but create rules around it or create ways to use it that's respectful of people's time.
So that, because there's some dialogue that doesn't pertain to other people. It's really meant specifically for two people to have a conversation on the sidebar related to something related to a disagreement or something of a class or something like that. And I do conflict resolution, so I know that those are sidebar challenges, right? And it's nobody's business like Facebook to put all your laundry out there, but more or less do it respectfully to say, is it work related or is it just personal? At this point, it's a relationship thing. So we have to be mindful about it. And so, yeah, rules and kind of setting some norms so that everybody can play in the sandbox nicely would be great.
Thank you. Heather, you're next, and then Arya.
I'm just going to echo what Maria just said. I miss it. I think it's a disservice that it was taken away. I think it was taken away under false pretenses. It has not decreased the amount of email that I get. In fact, I find that I'm getting multiple emails of the same topic, perhaps because people aren't sure like who should send it out. So I end up getting 2 or 3 emails with the same information. I miss it.
Thank you. Arya and then Dan.
So I made a point for years I've made a point to really restrict how much I opt into the FAS conversations, but I've always found leading them to be helpful and yeah, I think my only concern about the FAS is that, everybody has to see everybody's, inappropriate use of it. I do think there's solutions, and we're not being smart with the technology that exists out there. The fact that, just when you're creating discussions in Canvas, you can decide to subscribe to a discussion, and we aren't using those same kinds of tools in our own communication software. And I think if you could somehow make it so that if somebody created a thread that was going in directions where people could feed in their opinions, and other people don't want to deal with that, yes, you could just not read those emails, but it makes more sense that you should be able to subscribe or opt into these conversation threads that now are taking you in another place if you want to go there. And if you don't, you just ignore it, you don't subscribe, and you move on. I think that we're kind of blaming the tool for the use, for issues about the way it's used, as opposed to thinking of other ways to use tools, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but I do miss FAS, but I also think it wouldn't be a bad idea to look into other methods, other tools, other software that allows you to split off into different conversations, and people can follow that if they want, without having to block people from your email list.
Thank you. That's well thought out and creative and wonderful ideas. Dan, you're up.
Yeah, I agree that with much of what Aria just said. Actually, she said a lot of what I was going to say better than I was going to say it. But I will say that in contrast to everyone else who's spoken, I don't miss FAS, and you know, because like I'm one of the people who I don't know, like it just bothers me maybe more than it should. You know, maybe I'm overreacting a bit, but like this, like when you know, when some certain people, like they'll jump in and say, okay, now I'm gonna reply to what the chancellor just said, and now we've got like a, you know, district-wide. And by the way, I think there is something to do with training or culture having to do with this, because it seems like it's a very Merritt-centric thing. You know, there's a lot of Merritt faculty members in particular, a lot of Merritt male faculty members who, like white male faculty members who, you know, at Merritt, and I was not one of them. And, but like, I could feel that impulse, you know, that white maleness wanting to come out and say like, I'm going to reply to all to tell this person that they shouldn't be replying to all, you know, and I have to rein that in. And so I'm kind of glad that that tool has been removed from some people.
All right. Wow, FAS responses as privilege. I hadn't gotten there yet, but I appreciate the acknowledgement, Dan, and the opening our eyes to that. Any other comments on that about communication beyond the FAS tool, like how we might, Aria's ideas, you know, sort of go beyond that? Are there other ideas of how we would get information to other parts of campus that would be effective? People that you, especially now that we don't see Stephanie.
I had my hand up. I'm not sure if you saw it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Denise. I did not see it. Let's go Denise and then Stephanie.
I wanted to say that we do still have our faculty listserv, and we have the classified listserv, so we can still communicate with faculty and staff if we wanted to use those two listservs. And then something that our Office 365 technology allows us to do is to create all sorts of groups and teams and things like that, which could be used for the opt-in service, because I opted out of a group. I didn't know I could do that, but since you can create groups with Office 365, someone added me to a group that didn't really involve my role, and I didn't ask to be asked. And so I was getting all these emails for like months. Then I figured out, oh, I can opt out of this. So it was really great, you know, just to click and I'm out. And so we could use that now.
That's fantastic. And I don't know how to use that. So maybe that's something we need to add to our website as well, to let people know how to form those groups, opt in or out.
Yeah, because I created a group for, you know, Division I faculty and staff, Division I chairs, Division I faculty, just staff, you know, so I created a bunch of different groups for Division I when I need to communicate, you know, with everyone. So it's working out for us.
Excellent. Stephanie and then Aria. Margie and then Aria. Stephanie.
So I was going to mention that the Classified Senate at one point had a newsletter that would be sent out. And I do believe that the faculty may have had one at one point. And I know that the college president tries to do the same. But there really isn't sort of that cross-pollination of information that is occurring with respects to newsletters. It is very hard for many of us to be in multiple places and to kind of learn of what is happening by being present at all these different, discussions and meetings, etc. And I think having them in written form, yes, the minutes, etc. Most don't take the time to say, oh, let me go read the minutes of this group to find out what is happening on the campus. It would be helpful, I think, to have sort of a mechanism to highlight sort of the major areas that we need more participation in, or sort of a broader range of understanding with respects to certain topics, and just being able to kind of capture that and highlight it and send a communication, even if through the channels of the listservs, etc.
Thank you. Margie.
I was just gonna kind of say a bit of what Stephanie said in regards to the classified Senate newsletter, and as well as what Denise said about the creating the groups. But if we can include, when wanting to get things to the different divisions, just make sure we include that staff assistant of that area, and hopefully we can inform the staff assistants prior to, if FYI, if you see communication from this, they can communicate it to the division dean and or the department chairs, and I just say let's utilize the staff assistants to a greater cause.
Thanks, Margie. Arya.
Yeah, that's all the stuff that you were saying, all the past 3 people. I agree with everything they said. I just wanted to add, as a faculty member, and I don't feel like there's been a lot of training. I know that maybe way back when I was hired, I went to an orientation, and it was run by a department chair from another department, and it was sort of slapped together, and it was based on what their experience was, as opposed to, here are all the different groups that are going to send messages to you, and these are some things that would be tags to keep your heads up in case there was something that is coming from this person or this role, pay attention. And I feel like because of the lack of some training, I'm sure there's some faculty, part-timers especially, who may not be as clued in. Like, what are these groups? Who are these people emailing me? And they only pay attention to the content of whatever is coming from the department chair or their immediate person they deal with the most often. And I think that that's something that means that people are going to miss out. And I think periodically it would just be nice to have one sort of at a glance communications. These are the groups that exist. If you want to join this group, here how you can, because it's news to me what Denise was saying, like certain of these groups exist. Unless they are showing up on my left-hand bar of my office toolbox, I don't know, the Outlook. Sorry, I don't even know the names of it. This isn't making any sense probably, but the point I'm making is I think we should improve training and have periodic training, so even old timers like me who've been around for a while can catch up on what's new as far as communication tools. That's all.
Love that. Denise, and then Margie, is your hand still up to go next, or is that just?
No, I'll lower my hand.
Okay, Denise Woodward.
I want to piggyback off of what Arya just said about training. I know when we first got Office 365 a few years ago, we went to a training once for like an hour, and there's so many amazing features that I've found just by kind of clicking around, and because of my role as a staff assistant, I've learned how to use it to be more efficient, with my everyday workload. But if we could get more training on, the software and the things that we already have, I think that would really be helpful. And then maybe we could have like a web page that's like Merritt News or something, and employees only have access, or employees and students, and we can request for things to be added to that news page, and then at any time any one of us can access it and see what's going on around campus.
Great ideas, Denise. Margie, are you wanting your hand up now? Okay.
I recall last semester the Classified Senate met with the Academic Senate, and that was a very, very powerful collaborative meeting. We might want to suggest that maybe once in, we said that we would have meet jointly once or twice at least a semester, but we may want to revisit that because that meeting was very, very like informative for both sides.
Fantastic. You guys, these are all really incredible suggestions, and you recognize probably that I'm going to bring some of them back to us because I want the accreditation committee, and I'm willing to do the sort of facilitation and bulk of the work putting things together, but to put out this news in whatever form we decide to do it, whether that's a web page or a newsletter, but that I will need your help in asking your individual areas. And Lillian's not here today, and Lilia, they're not here today, but their areas also, right, in terms of finance and the business office and student services, for people who are not represented here today in those areas, what they're doing. Could I get feedback on how you feel about that? Or people, I should have made a poll.
Well, for student services, Dr. Chavez has a joint, like the full kind of departmental meeting. And then other individuals who want updates from like financial aid, admissions and records, I'm going to be doing a presentation. They join just to hear these updates, just to know what's happening in financial aid or admissions and records, if there's any changes. And so that's really strategic for student services to open it up and, you know, so people can get more information in real time.
Michael asked what the last question was. So sorry, Michael. Thank you, Maria. So my question, and tying in what Maria said, is it sounds like within divisions, within departments, within areas, we're really good at communicating with each other, but then we're not, as Stephanie said, cross-pollinating, right? Like, so I don't know necessarily what happened, Maria, in that meeting, and I don't know what's going on in the business office, but I want to know. And I think it would help us to understand and empathize with other people across campus, certainly what's going on, and for us to hear from students what's going on for them, and for students to hear from student services what's going on. So that was the question, Michael. Is one, do you also think that would be helpful? And two, I would ask you for, you know, a 1 paragraph or 2 paragraph or bullet points of what's going on in your area so that we could share it. Correct. Michael is saying, collecting some summaries from our minutes. Yeah, from minutes or just talking to people, however you'd want to do it. How do people feel about that? Maybe I should just do a vote. So how many people feel like that would be a good idea, and literally put up your hand or put up a fake hand on a digital hand? One, two, three. I'm voting yes. 4, 5.
Sorry,
6.
yeah, can you repeat the question that we're answering?
Yeah, 7. So we've got 7. But how many people? How many people believe it would be a good idea for us as the accreditation committee to be a center of putting out a communication about what's going on, since we have everybody from these different areas, and because we are a place where we want to, part of accreditation, right? Practicing accreditation every day is communicating across campus, and we can only be so successful and effective in what we're doing in accreditation if we know what's going on in other departments and areas. And so the question is, do you think it's a good idea, and would you be willing to help me put that together, not in terms of like synthesizing it, I'll do that, and publishing it, but in terms of just helping to get the information from the area that you work in, you know, once a month or once every 6 weeks, whatever we decide. And I see. So is there anybody that is opposed to that for any reason? I just want to make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's toes or. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back at our next meeting, and we'll try to flesh it out a little bit more. And I might email you and ask you to bring a paragraph or a few bullet points from your area, and then we can kind of play with what that might look like. All right, so new business and announcements kind of go together. So I just wanted to let you know that there are some upcoming both listening sessions with the president that I'm going to be facilitating, and also solution focus sessions. The first one is going to happen on September 29th. These are all going to be Tuesdays from 12:30 to around 1:15, 1:30. I have to leave at 1:15, but 1:30. So on September 29th, we're doing the listening session about communicating across campus. And so we can bring some of these ideas in and hear from other people, because what we heard in the accreditation day is that there is a disconnect and a lack of empathy in different areas. And then on October 2nd, which is a Friday, I'm going to attend the ASMC meeting. And I'm going to just make sure I have everything from them that so we can move forward with a solution focused session on October 13th on really improving communication with students, improving the enrollment process, improving the registration process, and moving forward on that, because we heard them loud and clear, and we need to start making solutions so that we can fix that. And then there'll be one more solution focused session. I believe it's on October 27th, and that'll be the solution focused session for the communication issues that we are talking about. So that's coming up. Of course, right after this, there is the second half of the Fall Summit. So if you can participate, please be there. The last item there's two more items, and we only have 7 minutes left, and I apologize. We have been asked in many ways to provide a workshop on what needs to be done in terms of participatory governance for people who are serving for the first time as members or serving for chairs at the first time. And so that's something that I'd like to flesh out with you guys further. I'd really like to get something, again, on the participatory governance website. And those of you who've served not just as members, but as chairs in the past, I'd like to ask you to do like a short video, and we can then put something out where people can say, well, I don't really know what needs to be done in the first meeting, and then we'll have a list and somebody talking, and it'll be user friendly. So that is what I have. You can even get a 5-minute break before the Fall Summit. But before we adjourn, any questions, suggestions? I apologize if I went a little too quickly on any of the areas. I want to say that I really appreciate hearing from all of you, and I am more than ever feeling like I have the dream team here, because we really have some great ideas flowing, and I feel like this is going to help us move forward as a college to really attain the mission and vision that we state in a real way. Anything else before we adjourn? Oh, Michael, yes, please.
Hey there. I'm not sure this is particularly relevant to the type of videos that you're talking about assembling and putting out. But I do have some experience and skills with video editing. So, for example, I just helped do a presentation, and, an hour of continuous recording, and then just people stopping and starting over again if something didn't come across right, and then I just clip out all of the errors until it's just one seamless video.
Michael, I'll take any help you're willing to give me. And I do want to hear your voice and voices from the ASMC as well. Denise, do you have your hand up?
No, let me put it down.
Okay. All right, everybody. If that is it, then let's adjourn at 12:55, and I'll see y'all at Fall Summit.
There's one quick note if we're just wrapping up now. I just wanted to mention that super happy to collaborate and share the ASMC's voice and help with that. I just want to mention for context and perspective to everyone listening that one of the biggest obstacles right now is that the AMC's voice is supposed to be based on the voice of the students that we're representing, and just, you've all heard me talk about our inability to hear them. So I just want that to be a reminded detail that our voice is a bit choked at the moment, but we'll provide what we can.
And Michael, I appreciate that. And that's why we are proactively asking for your voices. So let's keep talking. And I'm going to be at that meeting on October 2nd. So I will be listening.
Thanks so much. Everyone have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.